Hong Kong closed business in a bear market as $2 trillion worth have been erased in terms of market value. The drive to devaluation is on, and with me to discuss this week's biggest moves is Philippe Waechter. Philippe, the CAC Flash PMI for August fell to 47.1, its lowest level since 2009, which hasn't helped anyone's hopes of a Friday bounce in oil prices. Indonesia also looks set for bear market territory. Some say a correction as high as 10% is looming. Do you agree?
Well, what we see currently in Asia, specifically in China, that the economic outlook is very weak. And you mentioned the PMI index for China. It's really weak. And when we look at details of this survey, we don't see any source of improvement rapidly, because when we look at orders, whether they are internal or export orders, we have a very low level of for these indices. So there is a drag on economic outlook for Asia, and probably there will be a large correction of markets there.
A deal signed with ECB wasn't enough to take pressure off of Greece, as Tsipras' departure means it's risk on once again. Money is going out of Greece and into Germany and the UK, but was this a clever move or a risky gamble by the PM?
I think that for Greece, Tsipras' move yesterday was a good one, because his political majority at the parliament was very fragile. We saw that when they vote for the third bailout program, and Tsipras didn't have a strong majority. So he has to reinforce his political power, and the best way to do that is to be re-elected. Of course, it's risky, because a lot of measures that have been agreed on at the deal at the beginning of July has not been put in place, but it's a less risky move than working with the current majority. So it's a big change. And at the end, for the Eurozone, it could be a good move, because the situation will be less risky in Greece with a strong prime minister. So probably it's a good bet for Tsipras.
Gold is having the best week since January, as the dollar lost its value as people try to find some sort of safety amid this sell-off. The US dollar has appreciated against EM currencies, but what are your thoughts of its recent correlation with the single currency?
Well, the point would be interesting to look at in the coming weeks. What can be expected from the Fed? You know, we have two issues for the dollar. One is with emerging countries, as you mentioned, and it's very important, specifically after the Chinese move. But at the same time, we have a kind of competition between the Federal Reserve on one side and the ECB on the other one. So until the next Fed's meeting, we will have a very volatile exchange rate parity between the US dollar and the euro. And after that, if we have a lift-off in interest rates in the US, probably the dollar will be stronger than what we see currently.
And looking ahead, what do you think our viewers should keep an eye out for next week?
Well, I think specifically in Europe, what will be interesting will be what we will have in different survey in Germany, in France, the IFO, the INSEE survey. It will be interesting. We will have the new capital orders in the US. It will be interesting. Expect to anticipate companies' investment. That's very important in the current situation. And the last point I would mention is all the data we will have in Japan on CPI, on retail sales, because we saw last weekend that the situation in Japan is still very weak, and we need to have more information to have a more global prognosis of the Japanese situation.
Philippe, great to speak with you. Well, the TV team will be covering those events mentioned by Philippe and much more, so please do stick with us at Dukascopy TV. Goodbye for now.